Good evening. It is Monday, June 29th, 2026. I'm Jeffrey Whidden. I'm joined tonight by Ms. Hickman and Mrs. Westfall. We together are the Recreations and Park Committee. We have one item on our agenda tonight. We are revisiting R5 2020-2026, which was improvements to the Troy Aquatic Park. Mr. Titterington, do you have any update to this measure?
Sure. So Council passed that resolution back in February. That was for repairs and renovations to parts of the pool. I want to reiterate on the record that was not including any kind of expansion of the facility. MSA Architects was commissioned to do the design and get the bid documents ready for the maintenance projects. The resolution authorized up to $1.7 million. In the middle of May 13th, sealed bids were opened and compared. Both were nearly $2.4 million in total, both of which were above the threshold, first of all, obviously above the authorization, but also above the state law threshold that would have even allowed us to approve or accept one of the bids, because you only have a 10% cushion. Mm-hmm. This was obviously well above that. The Recreation Board met last week, unanimously recommending that Council increase the bidding authorization from $1.7 million to $2.5 million. Some reasons why that the gap was so large. Just several portions of the project, in talking with the bidders, came in well above what the estimate was. General inflation, supply chain, and supply and inventory accessibility is limited, and then we're dealing with those economics. But also, the joint replacement was approximately $200,000 over what the initial estimate was. The electrical work was much more complicated in the eyes of the bidders, with the installation of the VFDs, variable frequency drivers. So there was a gap of $150,000 right there. There's also a couple of others. Some fencing came in much higher. Steel, when the steel prices, those material costs were higher as well. Again, the Rec Board did meet last week to discuss it. Has made a unanimous recommendation that the project be rebid with an authorization of maximum of $2.5 million. It is a very large amount over what was originally anticipated. However, the work does need to be done. Again, this is repairs and renovations, not expansion that could be delayed otherwise. And number two, any delays and deferrals until next year, it's reasonable to estimate that the cost would only go higher. I will say that on the second page of the memo that you have, our report, the MSA is confident that given if the authorization is given, the project could stay on schedule, could be bid again, and the work done between the end of 2026 season and the beginning of 2027, contrary to what maybe we've been told and through social media channels. That's all I have.
All right. Mr. Seiler is here. I'd ask if you could come up to the podium real quick. I know that we all remember R5 2026, but for the public at large, can you just go over again the full scope of what the maintenance project is we're trying to do there so we can all be on the same page with the public who may not have seen that?
Yeah, so probably the largest scope of this project is going to be repairs to the pool shell itself, joint repairs. The recoating of the entire pool itself will be redone once all of those joint repairs are done. There's a significant amount of work back in the pump house room where all of the pumps are for all of the components of the pool, along with some of the electrical work that's related to those. The baby pool heater needs replaced. It's no longer working at this point. The entrance to the pool itself, the canopy that folks walk through as they enter the pool, the structural columns on that particular area are starting to rot, and that entire structure essentially needs to be replaced at this point. The drop slides will need to be recoated and repainted. Lockers are anticipated to be replaced, both located inside the dressing rooms and also out on the main pool deck area. The drop slide in the deep end is also planned to be recoated and painted. So that's just a general synopsis, but I think that the main kind of component of the pool itself, the shell, the integrity of that is the driving force behind a lot of this, and is going to be essential to making sure that this pool will last a significant amount of years beyond where we're at. We're currently in year 22. A lot of these components to these facilities last between 15 and 25 years. When we had the assessment done and we did a walkthrough with the aquatic folks, they did indicate to us that for a 22-year-old facility, it's been maintained very well, but we're just really to that point of where a lot of these things need to be replaced. And we don't want to do what some other facilities in the area have done, and that is to wait too long and maybe have to make some decisions as to whether the pool is shut down for, in some cases, a couple seasons, and in other cases, maybe closed permanently. So we're trying to just stay ahead of that and make sure that we address these items before we get to that point.
Yeah, thank you. So I'm not sure who would want to answer this next question. The needs that we discussed and said, yes, we want to replace during R5 2026 haven't changed. And the increase, that's not due to any type of rush we're trying to put through to get it done between 2026 and 2027 season. So they're not charging us a rush fee necessarily at this point, right? It's just as strictly cost of labor, materials, procurement that is the reason for the cost, correct? So putting it off would not be beneficial?
This has been our timeline all along. We haven't changed that, and there's not a, from the contractor's perspective, it's not a rush. That's what the cost of the job is.
Okay.
Based on the feedback that MSA has received in talking with the contractors, they followed up and talked to the two that bid, and also followed up with one that did not end up bidding, but had a lot of questions during the bidding process. We found that both bidders were very close in their bids that they submitted, so I think that's an indicator that we feel that it's the price that's been given through these bids is on target with what the scope of the job and the scope of the work is.
Okay. And Mr. Titterington, what fund would the additional?
Well, this will have to no doubt be a reappropriation, so we would work with the auditor's office to bring that to you.
Okay. I'll hold off on any questions for right now. Ms. Hickman, do you have any questions?
Yes. So I obviously agree this needs to be done. I do think this would be a good opportunity to recommend possibly our rec board looking into charging a resident and non-resident fee for passes and daily admission. With our taxpayers having to pay this, I think they deserve the good of maybe not getting a higher fee next season and non-residents getting the higher fee of the next season, as well as hopefully that may help with overcrowding, because I know lots of residents do complain of that. I know there's communities all around us that do it that way, Heber Heights, Tip City, Vandalia. So I do think that would be a recommendation of mine for the Recreation Board to look at. That's all I have.
And I would support that. I think that's reasonable to ask outside people to pay a higher fee, because most of the places do that anyway. I have a question about the contractors. Have you worked with either of the people that bid previously?
The one contractor was actually the general contractor that built the pool initially.
Okay.
It's not the exact same name of the company, but it's a spin-off of that same company. The other one I'm not familiar with at this point. And the one that had multiple questions but did not end up bidding was actually a contractor that was involved with the Hobart Arena renovation project 25 years ago.
Okay. And there's obviously not a lot of people that do this kind of work.
Well, their subs, the two general contractors that submitted bids are utilizing the same pool subcontractors.
Okay.
There's not a lot of folks that do that type of work, so we're pretty limited with regard to that particular sub.
Okay.
Unfortunately, there's just not a lot of folks out there that do that type of specific work.
And I'm sure they guarantee their work.
Well, it's part of the typical warranty process.
Okay. And it'll be expected to last another 20 to 25 years?
I think the majority of these components are, like I had mentioned earlier, probably 15 to 25.
Okay.
So, I mean, all of these parts and pieces generally should last at least a minimum in that 15-year range. So that's what we would target for.
Okay. Definitely want to maintain it because it's heavily used and everybody loves it, so I'm in favor of it.
Mr. Chair, just out of curiosity, what does the warranty for a project like this even look like?
I believe it's generally 2 years.
Okay.
Mr. Titterington, speaking to Mrs. Hickman's proposal that we look at fees for residents and non-residents, is that something we'd want to get the Recreation Board to look at to investigate whether that's feasible or what we could expect as a payment structure or cost to implement that program? Or
given that the president of the Recreation Board is in the audience and has been listening diligently, I would hope that he would pass that on at the next board meeting. Typically, you discuss rates towards the end of the season.
Usually in September each year.
Is that something we could get a report on after your next meeting, or at least I don't want to set your agenda for you, but something you guys could look at and get back to us on about what that may or what that could look like?
I mean, we can. Or you want information prior to the board reviewing that, or maybe just for clarification? Are you asking us to increase non-resident fees and keep resident fees the same, or are we trying to? I heard you mention that the numbers are too high in attendance. Are we trying to reduce the attendance numbers at the facility? Is that what we're attempting to accomplish?
I mean, for me...
Because we are always trying to increase attendance to help with offset of our operating costs, and we generally try to hit that break-even point.
Sure.
So I would just want to make sure we're not deterring folks from attempting to come to our pool as a result of implementing that type of a plan, and then we're not able to meet the goals of trying to cover our operating costs.
Sure.
I think it's also a challenge for, we generally have, not generally, most of our staff at the front desk are part-time folks, sometimes college or high school kids. This can be a very difficult thing to implement in that scenario, and to put part-time folks in that kind of a position to try to enforce these type of policies. I think it will be a challenge to try to monitor that and to make sure that we're very consistent as to how we implement that type of a new policy. That's why we as a department have tried to stay away from implementing that type of a policy. just to try to keep the rates across the board the same.
I did research into what the other communities are doing. I believe TIP, you have to go to the city office and get a resident card. Vandalia, you go to the rec center and get a resident card, and they're free. So, you know, and then I think when they're registering for a pool pass, that's the easy one, obviously, because when they submit that, it's just another step for whoever's processing the pool pass to if they're in city limits or not city limits.
And most of our pool passes are sold online, so I'm not sure how that would, may make it more of a challenge and more hurdles for someone to go through to be able to purchase a pool pass online versus forcing them to have to come in to provide that paperwork.
Sure.
I'm certainly not saying that it can't be done. I just think there may be some challenges to trying to implement that process is all.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's worth at least checking into how the other cities accomplish it.
So what I would suggest, Mr. Whidden, I'm not sure if you wanted some feedback within the next couple of weeks, but certainly with some of these issues and some of the research that maybe we need to update, then you know, if it is closer to that September timeline when they're looking at rates, that would probably be more appropriate because they'll have research and probably some kind of report that goes along with it.
Yeah, well, I guess just off the top of my head would be fine, and Ms. Hippen, Mrs. Westfall, you tell me if you're wrong, if we're going to wait till the Parks and Recreation Master Plan comes in, what we want to do with upgrades to the pool, trying maybe to implement it around that time frame, that could give plenty of time to look into that perhaps, but I don't want to speak for the rest of the members of the committee, but that could be a possible outcome as well to make sure we can do our full due diligence. I think at least stop me if I'm wrong, as members of City Council, we just want to make sure that we are being good stewards of the citizens' tax money and trying to space that burden out to those non-citizens of Troy who don't have to pay that burden and maybe try to increase it. Now, maybe we don't see any increase in funds, and maybe it's actually cost us more to implement the program in general. We just kind of want to see what those numbers look like, seeing as other cities around us, as Ms. Hickman mentioned, do that. So I think that's a good enough explanation of where you're kind of coming from with that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just, you know, we're going to have to figure out where these additional funds are coming from, and in the future, if we do upgrades to the pool, the entire pool itself, or amenity upgrades or whatever, I think it helps if we show that we are trying to increase the income while citizens are paying all of that, giving them kind of, I'm missing the word that I want to use, but, you know, they're sharing this pool with everybody around that can come. I think it's only fair that citizens kind of get a break when they come for a daily versus non-citizens that are also coming in, especially when all of our citizens are constantly complaining of how full that pool is and packed that pool is. So I am all in favor of adding another pool down the line or whatever other amenities down the line, but I think we should just be kind of ahead of the game, especially Tip City's smaller than us, Huber and Vandalia are bigger than us, kind of see what they're doing, and if it, like Mr. Whidden said, if it's feasible, if it would work for us, all of that.
Any comments to that, Ms. Westfall?
No, I would agree. And I just had some other questions. Do you yearly break even, or did you break even last year as far as, you know, your costs and running the pool? And then, of course, I know this $800,000 is not coming out of your day-to-day budget, but, you know, that is coming from city tax money. But I think people need to know that you work really hard to try to, you know, be self-sustaining, basically.
Yeah, so obviously there's variables, one being weather.
Sure.
Probably our most significant variable. We generally hit very close to, from an operating perspective, break even, maybe 20,000 to the good, 20 to the bad. Probably over the course of the 2021 seasons, we're probably to the good overall. But generally, we're very close to that break-even point every year.
And that is paying for your employees, maintaining the pool, chemicals.
Yes.
Concessions,
Concessions, utilities.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
general
been
routine maintenance.
Yeah,
Yeah, everything but the debt service.
sure.
is covered.
Yeah.
And I don't think people understand that most pools don't break even. Like, it's rare that
Right.
pools break even. So it's wonderful. I definitely want it to last.
And I think too, the other thing is, you know, again, being in year 22, I was thinking back to the old pool earlier today, and in, you know, year 25 to year 30, that pool was in terrible condition. The attendance numbers were not good, and our numbers continue to stay pretty steady, and actually, I think over the last several years, we've actually seen an increase in our average daily attendance. So being that many years into an operation and continuing to be able to see our numbers increase and having the condition of the pool be where it is, based on feedback from an outside objective contractor, that was just really good information to hear, that, you know, you don't really know unless you're out there comparing your facility to all these other facilities across the country, but having a water company come in with the architects to do that assessment, I think that was great feedback to hear. But again, just being this many years in and having our attendance numbers be where they are, I think indicates that the demand is not waning.
Absolutely.
Mr. Phillips, do you have any questions?
I do, and for the life of me, they've escaped my brain at the moment. But speaking about your cost of services, do we have any idea at the moment on residency on anybody that comes through the gate?
So we've done, and we plan to do that again this summer, just to get an idea. We've done this a couple times, a couple years back, where we just collect zip codes just to get a general idea of where folks are coming from. So we had planned, we talked about this a couple weeks back, that we plan to do this once we get later into June or July, early July, do it for a week period of time, just to get a good cross section of where folks are coming from.
Yeah, we've discussed this in prior years, and it's never come to fruition because there wasn't general support with the council at the time to do any cost bifurcation or anything like that. So I just was wondering if we had any idea on the population spread. So
I'd have to pull that report again we did it 2 or 3 years ago.
Right.
I think it was the last time we did it, but I don't recall off the top of my head what that, kind of the general summary of those results were.
Thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you. Do any members of the public have any comments or questions? Please come forward.
Steve Henderson, 975 Dickerson Road. I think we should all be embarrassed to be here. I think MSA, if they did the original thing, I think that this should be the last contract we ever have with them. We're not talking about a little error here. This is about a 50% increase. So it's like, what'd you guys do? Were they capable of putting together an estimate that we could live with? And this is why whenever there's a big project and the public wants to know, is this estimate any good? If we take a look on the website today, the topic today was supposed to be the roundabout. It was still on there 5 minutes ago. I didn't know we were going to talk about this till I picked up the agenda out here. $800,000 increase on a $1.7 million project. I know that I support the pool. It's a wonderful thing. It's an asset for this community and everything. But whoever made the estimate, there ought to be a behind the shed discussion with that company. That's ridiculous. You know, maybe they had the pool guys do, you know, the ones that take attendance, maybe they had to make the estimate. But I think it's embarrassing to sit here and find out, oh, we're off only by 50%. What other projects are coming along that there's going to be questions about that? We've had a couple meetings about the roundabout. The last estimate, it didn't go up a blankety-blank penny over 3 years. Now, I'm a little skeptical about that, And this is part of the when I see stuff like this, it makes me really doubt about engineering estimates. Anyway, you guys, I understand the need for the project, okay? Don't get me wrong. What I don't understand is how you can be an estimate that's that far off. So figure out how to get some people that know how to put together, they're going to have to go out and rebid it, but they're going to have to come out with a new package, because apparently the package they sent out wasn't any good. It didn't have a bunch of the stuff that we just heard needs to be done. Maybe it'll come back in at 2.4, maybe it'll come back in, who knows what it's going to come back in once they redo the package. And I'm not sure that I would have the same company do the package, but maybe they're the only ones on planet Earth that know how to do it. But right now, if I had to, as speaking for one person of the public, trying to think of the right word that we can say that's recorded, but it's not doing your credibility one iota. I'll be happy to answer any other questions if you got. Thank you.
And thank you, Mr. Hendrickson. Well said, as always.
Yeah, we all kind of feel that same tough pill to swallow.
Yes, that is my general opinion on the matter. No one wants to see an $800,000 increase, although I do still stand by my original feelings on this project when it was R5 2026, that the pool is one of the best assets we have in the city. It is important to keep going and maintain at its level. So there's the really catch-22 of the whole situation, in my opinion. To keep things the way you wouldn't want them, sometimes you have to swallow a tough pill. And for myself personally, this is a pill that I am willing to swallow to keep and maintain the great pool and facilities we have there. So I guess that kind of spoils what my recommendation will be to that. Before we go any further, is there any other members of the public? Please come forward.
Brandon Bass, 2137 Emerson Way. I am in support of this project 100%. I want to talk about a couple mechanical failures to pools in our area over the last couple of years that show the importance of maintaining pools. So on June 19th, 2023, the Dolphin Club here in Troy had a mechanical failure and 16 children were hospitalized. In the fall of 2025, at the Robinson branch, there was a mechanical failure and 3 children were hospitalized. May 21, 2026, there was a chlorine vapor leak at the Trumbull County YMCA. There was two people that were hospitalized. And here less than a month ago, June 2nd, 2026, there was a pump failure at the Minster Pool just north of us. There was 14 swimmers hospitalized. So the importance of maintaining our pool is very important. This personally affects me. My daughter is an employee at the pool, and our staff is professional and outstanding. She was also one of the people that was affected by one of those incidences. So I want to make sure that when we're investing this money, that not only we're just looking at repairing like, but that we are using the most modern tools for fail-safes for how the chlorine goes into the pool if the circulation pump fails. And that was the failure that happened at the Dolphin Club a couple of years ago. That's all.
Thank you very much for
sharing.
sharing.
Other questions? I guess.
No, I appreciate that input. And we have to look at this as a safety issue also, and what's it cost for somebody's health.
Exactly. Any other members of the public who have any comments or questions?
Mr. Chair, if you mind,
Mr. Phillips.
feedback to me. With the reason for the rebid, we don't have a window to accept the bids that we have or gotten at this point?
No, because the bids submitted exceeded 10%.
We cannot do that.
And I will say that due to the cost increase, this has only happened a handful of times over the 17 years I've been on council that we have been hit by this. And governmental agencies, unfortunately, are bent over because of prevailing wage and state law that we have to abide by with all of the intricacies that go into our bids. We're at the mercy of the market, and as we all know, inflation is a real thing, and this, I don't believe, is somebody's just wishing in the wind and tagging a number out there, but this is, unfortunately, we've been caught before, so it happens, unfortunately.
Ms. Hickman, do you have a recommendation?
Recommend to move forward.
Mrs. Westfall?
Move forward.
It is unanimous to move forward with this, and we'll take it to council as, for a whole vote. Just to retouch back on Mrs. Hickman's idea about fees for residents and non-residents. I don't know if we wanted to necessarily put a timeline on that, but just something you guys could look at and get back to us at some point in the future. If you could, that would be much appreciated. Is there anything else to come before the committee tonight?
No, sir.
We are adjourned. Thank you very much.